and save a whole lot of money, and also get that great feeling of having fixed it by yourself.
Hey YouTubers, this is Scott the Fix It Guy, and today we're going to talk about 5 things that you can do to fix any appliance, regardless of what appliance it is. So we're talking washers, dryers, dishwashers, refrigerators, garbage disposers, any kind of appliance can be fixed with these 5 simple steps. Please stick around to the end, because we're going to cover at the end some things that are specific to the different machines. But first of all, just some general ideas of 5 things that can be used to fix any appliance. So I've got over 30 years of experience fixing things, and these are the things that I would do if I came to somebody's home and was there to fix like a washing machine or whatever the appliance is. So the first one, number 1, is called power cycling. And if you have a problem with your machine, you've probably already tried this. It's very easy and it often works. What it is just turning off your machine by unplugging it, or turning off the breakers that are sending power to whatever machine that is, whatever the appliance is. And some people say, well, how long should I turn off the power in order to do a proper power cycling? And you could try first just the simple one where you unplug it and then within a minute plug it back in. If that doesn't seem to resolve the problem, I would try doing a 1 hour unplugging or turning off the breaker and then powering it back up. Some machines have what's called RAM memory, which is stored error codes in memory within a circuit board or within a controller. And it takes usually about an hour for that energy to dissipate. And then once it dissipates, when you power the machine back on, it goes back to what's called. If this video is helping you, please consider pressing down in the lower right hand corner of your screen the subscribe button, and that really helps our channel. The factory reset, and the factory reset is just bringing it back to its original state, and that's minus any of these error codes that might have popped up. So that's a good one. That's easy to do. It just takes a very short amount of time. So I would do a power cycling of 1 minute first, and if that didn't work, I would try it for 1 hour. So that can be very effective. So if that doesn't work, the next thing is to jump onto a Google search and you put in your model number for whatever machine you have. And along with the model number, you would put in a question like, why doesn't my washing machine spin? So you have your model number and then washing machine doesn't spin, or why doesn't my washing machine spin? And the Google search will take you to a lot of written documents, but also a lot of really good videos. And these videos are made by people usually who have some appliance repair experience, and they're generous enough to put these videos out to help us to be able to fix our own appliances without having to pay for someone to come in to do it. And they're usually really well done. I've got a whole bunch of them for my channel, but also there's Repair Clinic is great. And applianceparts.com has some good ones, and they're just very well done and easy to understand, and they can steer you in the right direction for what part you may need to replace, and also shows the procedure of how to do it. Usually you don't need any kind of special tools to do it. I'll put a link in the description below for a video that shows the tools I use when I go to a house to fix appliances, but usually just normal household tools is all you need. Like Phillips head screwdriver, standard head screwdriver, pliers, things of this sort. Multi-tester is great to test a circuit, but the videos will steer you in the right direction. And once you've kind of identified which part you think may be causing the problem, then you can go and figure out, well, where am I going to get this part? And one way to do that is to go to SearsPartsDirect.com. We'll put a link in the description below for that, but SearsDirectParts.com. And then there in the search bar, you would put in the model number for the machine you're looking for. And what you'll see when you put in the model number is your machine will pop up, and there'll be all these really good diagrams of your machine. And they're really good drawings that show the different parts. But also not only the parts, but shows the part number. And the part number is a real important thing to get. So I use that all the time. I go to SearsPartsDirect.com and I put in the model number, there pops up the machine that I'm interested in. And for example, if a washing machine isn't spinning, probably the reason it's not spinning is a little thing called the lid lock or the lid sensor that's keeping the lid shut during spin is malfunctioning, and it needs to be repaired or it needs to be fixed. So if I put in the word lid lock, then all of a sudden it'll pop up on the screen what the lid lock looks like, and also will have a part number. And right there at SearsPartsDirect.com, I could just order it, and they're really good. They'll get the part to you fast. I usually like to use Amazon though, because it's really quick and they have a really good delivery system. So I'll take that part number and I'll go to Amazon.com, I'll put it in. There'll be all these different people that sell that part number. Probably better to go to the original equipment manufacturer, the OEM, because that's usually the best quality for that part. And usually there's that type of part available on Amazon. So that'd be the next step, is to go ahead and get the part. And then the next thing after that, once you get the part, is to go ahead and do the part installation yourself. And I would go back and refer to the video that we described earlier and just watch it a few times. And if you're still having trouble though, another resource, this would be the last bit of advice, would be to go ahead and contact somebody who's got some appliance repair experience. There's a really good company called JustAnswer.com that you can go to, and there's a lot of really good appliance technicians that will check these questions that you would pose. Like you'd say, my washing machine won't spin, and the appliance technician would get online with you and say, well, what's your model number and what have you tried so far? And they'll give you good advice. I'd be happy to help you too. You can contact me at scottthefixitguy@yahoo.com. I also have a Calendly link in the description below. That's where if you want to, we can do a Zoom call together for either 30 minutes or even 45 minutes if you need to have enough time where we can talk about all the ways you can fix your appliance if you're having trouble, and I can guide you through it. It's pretty rare though that that's the case. Usually you can just tell from watching the videos that are presented on the internet, really easy ways to fix your appliance. And you know, some people say, well, Scott, is there any time that you would choose not to fix an appliance? You just say, well, I'm just going to replace it. I really try to shy away from that because I don't want to fill the landfills with all these appliances that may need just a little part to make them work. I really prefer to try to fix them. But there are a few cases though where I would say, yeah, you should probably just replace it. One would be a washing machine that is very, very loud during the spin cycle, because that usually is something called a rear bearing that has failed, or it could be a thing called a spider bracket that holds the spin basket. That's so expensive to repair that it probably makes more sense at that time to replace it. Also a refrigerator where the compressor, the thing that makes the air cold in your refrigerator, has failed and you have to get a new compressor. It's kind of expensive to do that. That might be a time to get a new refrigerator. But other than that, usually it's something very simple. I'm going to put a couple of interesting videos down below on really easy, like less than 5-minute fixes that you can do that will surprise you on how easy it is sometimes to fix an appliance. Most times pretty easy. Sometimes you run into trouble, and then again, you've got the resources of checking on the videos to see what the experts think. You could try the JustAnswer.com. You could approach me with the email. I'd be happy to help. You could do a Calendly event with me. I'd be happy to do a Zoom call with you, and we'll get it fixed. So I think part of it is that helps me a lot is I try to be very patient. I try not to get too frustrated. It can be frustrating sometimes, but I try not to become frustrated. And the other weird part about it is, but I try to have faith. I believe, I'm an optimistic person. I try to believe that I will be able to fix it. I think the self-doubt kind of messes with us, right? Like we think, well, maybe, you know, I'm not an expert. I'm just a homeowner. Maybe I can't fix it. And that limits you. So try to have faith that you will be able to fix it. There's always a solution. And we have all these great resources that we stated earlier that you can use that will help you. So the last thing I want to talk about is the thing I mentioned in the beginning for you to hang out. And this is just some real quick information on specific to certain kinds of machines on the most common things that I run into. So if somebody calls me or contacts me online and says, I have a washing machine that is having trouble, Most often with the washing machine, it's a machine that won't spin. That's usually the trouble. Of course, there's other things that can happen, but that's the most common complaint for a washing machine. And the first thing I would check is there something preventing it from draining? So if your machine is still full of water and you're asking it to spin, it won't, because that heaviness of the water will cause a lot of damage. So the machine is programmed to get rid of the water first before it would ever try to do a spin. And you got to make sure that that's happened first. And usually that's easy. That's a matter of clearing a drain. Front-loading washing machines often have a little door down below the big door. And if you open that, there's a little thing you can spin out, and they call it a coin trap. And there's stuff caught in there like a sock or something. You pull it out, a lot of times it'll drain. The other thing that causes the washing machines to have trouble is when the lid lock or the lid sensor that is supposed to lock the lid during spin is malfunctioning. And they're really easy to fix. I'll put a description for a video that shows how to do that with a zip tie. It takes you literally within 3 minutes, you can fix it. Or you can replace them, which is easy to do too. So that's very common for washing machines. For dryers, usually what happens is all of a sudden the person says, well, Scott, it's spinning, but it's not heating anymore. That's the most common. Sometimes the belt breaks and it won't spin, but that's less common. Usually it won't heat up anymore. And with an electric dryer, what I would try first, electric dryer is one that uses energy to spin and electric energy to heat. I would go to your breaker box and make sure that both breakers, it'll have 2 breakers dedicated to the dryer. Make sure they're both in the full on position. You can turn them all the way off first, both of them, click them all the way off, and then click them all the way on. Sometimes that'll get your heat back. If that doesn't get it back, it could be a thing called the high limit has blown, which is like a fuse. Some of them are resettable, like on an LG, a Samsung, a Bosch, I think on ASCO also. There's a little button you can press. I'll put a description for the LG and Samsung below on a really fun video where you can just press a button and you get the heat back. But the reason the heat has gone out is because the dryer vent tube that takes the exhaust gases away is getting too clogged, and the heat is making the machine protect itself from overheating by stopping energy to the heating mechanism. So you have to clear that dryer vent tube, or otherwise it'll trip the high limit again and you'll be back to square one. So that's washers, dryers. And for a dishwasher, the most common thing that I see as a problem is that they're unable to drain the water. The dirty water can't drain. And a dishwasher, the first thing it's always programmed to do, first thing up, if you turn it on, is it's programmed to try to drain the water. If it can't drain the water, if it can't fully drain the water, it actually won't start the cycle. So a lot of people say, my dishwasher won't start. And I ask them, is there water in the bottom? And they go, yeah, there's water in the bottom. That's the reason it won't start. So you have to figure out, well, why is it not draining? When you turn on the dishwasher, if you listen carefully, even if it's not working right, you should hear like a faint hum. And that's that little motor trying to do its job to get the water out. But maybe the little thing that spins the impeller is stuck on a piece of glass or something. So that could be the problem. More commonly though, the tube that leaves the dishwasher that brings the dirty water out to your garbage disposal or up to your air gap up by your kitchen faucet and then down to your disposal, that thing's clogged. So I'll put a little video down below on how to clear that. It'll take you a minute. It's super easy, super fast. And many homes I come to with the dishwashers that don't work, and a minute later I'm done because it's just a little clogged. Simple to do, and very easy. So another thing that you could run into is a refrigerator that won't cool anymore. And sometimes you notice that it is just the fresh food section isn't cooling, but the freezer is. In that instance, what's happened is there's a bunch of ice that's accumulated in the freezer, maybe because the freezer setting's too cold. So there's a bunch of ice, and the ice is literally blocking the cold air from leaving the freezer via a fan and going into the fresh food section to keep it cold. So the old-fashioned defrost, where you just unplug it and you leave the freezer door open for say 8 hours for all that ice to melt, to thaw, then your refrigerator will work again. And you probably have to adjust your cooling settings so that your freezer stays at 0 degrees. If you're down at like -5 or something, yeah, it's gonna get iced up. So that's for a refrigerator. The other thing that happens with refrigerators is the freezer and the fresh food section are getting warmer. They're not cooling. And that's because a thing called the compressor, which compresses the refrigerant gases, is no longer working. It's like a little motor with a piston to compress the gases. And that's due to a thing called a high limit, which is like a fuse that's blown. And all you got to do is replace the high limit. So we'll put a link down there for how to do that. Easy to do. I think it's a $5 part. It's really cheap. Get it quick and easy. But like with other machines, when a high limit blows, there's a reason. The reason it blew is because it got too hot. The reason it got too hot is there's a bunch of dust that's covering the part called the coils. And the coils are either on the back of your refrigerator or underneath it. And they're used to dissipate the heat. They're used to pull heat out of your refrigerator, out of your freezer, into the kitchen environment. And it's so full of dirt that it can't dissipate it. It's almost like somebody who wants to sweat, but they can't sweat for whatever reason, and their body can't get rid of the heat. So we'll go over how to fix that with one of the videos down below. And that's about it. Oh, one other one, it would be a garbage disposal. A garbage disposal, all of a sudden doesn't work, and you press it, and if you hear a hum, you hear it, and it's not working, that means that the spinning mechanism is just jammed. There's like probably a fork in there or some broken glass, and it's just binding up the mechanism. Could be too that it hasn't been used for a long time and just rust has built in there, and the rust is jamming the mechanism. And the way to fix that is first unplug it. Make sure it's unplugged. Some of them are hardwired. They don't have a plug. They have you have to turn off a breaker, so you can turn off the breaker. But make sure there's no power going to that thing. And use a strong flashlight and push the rubber pieces. You know how you have the drain tube like this in your sink? Push those rubber pieces out of the way with one hand. Use your flashlight. Look in there. Maybe you'll see something. Again, make sure there's no power. And then go ahead and pick it up, and maybe that'll unjam it. If it doesn't unjam it, you can take a little Allen wrench. Underneath the disposal, there'll be a little hole with a hex key or Allen wrench fits in there, and you can turn it back and forth, and sometimes that'll unbind it, or sometimes it'll grind up whatever glass is there and get it to where it actually moves. I like to pour some vegetable oil down in there too to kind of lubricate everything, and that'll grind it back and forth, and that'll get it going. The other thing is you could take the little Allen wrench that goes up in, and it has a 90-degree turn like this, and you grab this part and you're wrenching it. To give you more leverage, you could put a pair of pliers or vice grips on the end of that to give you more strength to go back and forth to get that thing moving. And if you press it and you don't hear anything, you don't hear a hum, then that might be a really easy fix. There's a red button underneath your garbage disposal, and just push that up. That's another one of those high limit things. It got too hot for some reason, and to protect it, it cut power. So just reset it, and that can bring power. Often it's a combination though. You have a button that tripped that you have to reset, but the reason it tripped is because the thing got jammed. So you start it by pressing the button, you hear it hum, then turn it off, kill the power, unplug it, or turn off the breaker, and then figure out what's jamming it. See if you can work it loose or pull out whatever that thing is, and you're good to go. So quick review, number one is to unplug. So you do a power cycling or turn off the breakers for either 1 minute. If that doesn't work, try 1 hour. Number two, put your model number and your symptom into a Google search and see what information is out there that will help you. So again, we're using the example of a washer that won't spin. You put in the model number of the washing machine. Usually washing machine model numbers, if it's a front loader, if you open the door and you look on the frame, kind of the area of the frame that the door was covering, you'll see a little sticker, and that's the model number. Usually it says model or model number. And on a top loader, if you lift up the lid, usually when you lift up the lid, nearby where it's hinged down in here or somewhere underneath the lid, you'll see again a little sticker. Some of them, like Maytags, that model number will be behind the console, and that's an important thing to know. You need it to find the right parts, you need it to get the right information, And if you ask a technician to help you, they'll always say, what's the model number? And you want to have that already available so you don't waste any time. So once you've done that, you go to step 3. That would be going to SearsPartsDirect.com. You put in the model number, and then you'll have your machine pop up, and you'll have all these diagrams of all the parts that are in your machine. And you may, in the search bar, you could put the specific part name that you think it's called. You're probably right. And then it'll show up, and you can find the part number. With that part number, you can just use SearsDirect.com and order it, or you can go to Amazon.com or any place you want, and there'll be a lot of places that sell it. Try to get the original equipment manufacturer, the OEM is probably the best one to get. Number 4, you can order your new part again from Amazon or wherever to get the part. The part should get to you pretty quick. And number 5, using YouTube, you find a video, probably found that already on step 2, and you use that and watch it several times so you really understand it, and then use that to do the repair. And lastly, if you get stuck, then call in an expert, and I'm glad to give you some free advice if you go to scottthefixitguy@yahoo.com, or you can use my Calendly link down in the description below to get some Zoom time with me. That'd be great. You can use justanswer.com. You have to pay for that too. But these are experts, and they're happy to help, and they'll give you good, concise, quick information, and you'll be able to fix it. And the most important thing is be patient and have faith, because there's always a solution, and you just have to think it through. And it's kind of fun. Not only save a lot of money, and you keep you don't have the need for a stranger to come into your house, with all these different viruses going around with COVID and all. We're trying to limit that. You also keep from putting a machine into landfill, which is great. But the best thing, I think, is you get this great feeling of having known that you fixed it yourself, and that's a really nice thing. So hopefully it's been helpful to you. Please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance by clicking the little link down in the corner here. And again, thank you so much, and good luck to you. Let me know if you need any help watching our video, and please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance. And also click the little bell notification button so we can send you weekly videos on all the different ways of fixing appliances around your home and saving you lots of money. So thanks again for watching, and please also press the like button for our video if this was helpful to you. Feel free to contact me at the email listed below, which is scottthefixitguy@yahoo.com, with any of your questions. And also, if you need to have a FaceTime meeting with me or a Zoom meeting, you can click on one of the links below in the description, and we can set up a 15-minute or 30-minute video conference where we can work on your appliance problem. So thanks again for all your support and for watching the video.